The winning blueprint presents.
In the lab room.
When you don't have the right income, we get UOs, unexpected outcomes. Welcome, you are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. And we have a lot to get to, so let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into the Thursday night football contest between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Tennessee Titans. Who expected that one? That was what I call an old-fashioned UO. UO as in unexpected outcome. I didn't see that one coming. I knew this was going to be a tough, contested ball game. One that saw the Steelers play it close to the vest and see the Tennessee Titans hang in there. And I said that. I said with about 6 minutes left in this football game, the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to be up 17-13. They were up 20-16. So I had the right amount of a deficit or a lead for the Steelers and deficit for the Titans. I just didn't have the points square on. I was off by 3 on each team. And I said the Steelers were going to wake up, score another touchdown to extend that lead to 11. And that's where the game was going to settle in, and that was going to be the final score. I thought the Steelers were going to wake up because this is what the Titans do. I told you, when the Titans are at their best, when they're playing solid and good football, they lull you to sleep at home. When you go to Tennessee, you kick the ball off and then you fall asleep. You don't remember anything else that happened. You just wake up. It's the fourth quarter and you're up by 3 or you're trailing by 3 or it's tied and you're in a dogfight with the Tennessee Titans. Whether you're up, you're down by 3, it doesn't matter. You're in a close, hard-fought ball game with the Tennessee Titans with about 6-7 minutes remaining in the football game. And it's funny how often that this happens. This is what the Tennessee Titans do. And so I expected them to do this tonight. I really thought that if the Titans, and credit the Titans, don't just focus on the Steelers not getting it done. Give some credit to the Tennessee Titans. They came out, played some solid defense, had some timely scores, and when they needed to get it done, they got it done. Give them some credit. Don't just look at it from the Pittsburgh Steelers point of view and what the Steelers did or did not do. Give some credit to the Titans. They deserve it. They were the better team on this given night, and they got it done. The Steelers had every opportunity to win this football game, and they didn't get it done. Everybody wants to focus in on the Steelers and their struggles to start this season, and rightfully so. The Steelers are a triple P. And they're a team that normally, at this point in the season, are 4-1, maybe 3-2 at worst. But they're under 500 right now. They're a 2-3 ball club. They're struggling in multiple areas on their team, mainly with injuries, and on the defensive side, especially because of those injuries. And so you get beat when you can't stay healthy. That offensive line has been decimated by injuries. That running back committee is starting to get really thin. Mendenhall left the game early with an Achilles injury. Redmond took a shot right on his leg, right on the knee, and he had to leave the ball game, had an ankle, knee injury. He couldn't come back, and so they were down to Byron Batch and Chris Rainey, and so they were decimated at several areas on this team. You came into the game, no Palomalu, no Woodley, and so you were already down 2 of your better premier defensive players on the defensive side of the football, and so the Steelers have a lot of things that they need to address. But the Titans played good football on this night, and they deserve to get a victory for their efforts. Looking at this game in the context of the game itself, everybody wants to focus in on the late field goal that the Steelers missed and the subsequent drive down the field by the Titans and them making their 40-yard field goal. first of all, that was outside of Sean Sweezum's range. His career high was 52. He matched it last night in the game. And then they asked him to kick a 54-yarder. There's a reason why his career long is 52. Because that's about as far as that leg can kick the football. They asked him to kick it 54 and fell short. The Steelers had bad execution going into that field goal attempt. They got close enough. Then they handed the ball off to Byron Batch, who I thought made a bad cut on the play. There was room on the outside for him to get, if at worst, back to the line of scrimmage. I thought there was enough room for him to get about 2 or 3 yards on the play. Instead, he cut it back inside, right into the defense. Loss of 2 yards. And that's basically the 2 yards that they needed Sean Sweezum to have to make that field goal. And Ben Roethlisberger on the next play, scrambled out, was under duress. He tried to make Ben tried to make one of those, backyard football type plays. He almost did it too. He got away from the defender. It was about 3 Titans chasing him. He made a whirly dervish type play, turned around and slung it. And there was an open Byron Batch there. But Ben was just so under duress and so out of whack that when he threw it, he wasn't even close to his intended receiver. And so they had to try the field goal right then and there. And again, you can argue about the execution, but the fact of the matter is they just didn't get close enough. Sean Sweezum's career high was 52 for a reason. He missed a field goal. But I don't even look at that. See, everybody wants to focus in on what happened at the end because that's one of the last things that happened. But I already talked about this early in the season when the Browns lost to the Philadelphia Eagles, about teams having a chance to secure a victory and needing to make a play. The good teams do it. The bad teams don't. The Steelers for a long time have been a good football team. And they still are probably. But right now they're not. And a reason why they're not a good football team is because they're not closing out teams. They didn't close out the Raiders. They lost the football game. They didn't close out the Titans. They lost the football game. You want to focus in on the late field goal that was not made by Sean Sweezum and the late field goal that was the game-winning field goal that was made by Rob Baronas. I want to focus in on the 7:31 mark of this football game. Steelers just took the lead 20-16 on the Tennessee Titans. They got the momentum in the football game. Titans come out. Second play of the possession. Hasselbeck drops back. Throws the football right to the defender, Keenan Lewis. Hits him right in the chest. Literally couldn't have went up and handed it to him any better. The good teams, the Steelers teams of the past, that's an interception. Steelers go the other way, possibly score a touchdown on that play. If not, they're already in scoring range. They score. It really put a stranglehold on the game, and they win from there. Instead, he drops the football. Titans stay in the football game, and you get what you get at the end of the game. Titans kicking a game-winning field goal to win 26-23. A lot of things happened in this game. We saw the Steelers finally go up top to Mike Wallace for the first time really in this season. They really haven't had any big plays. I told you in the preview of this game, a lot of what the Steelers have been doing has been the short passing game this year. A lot of that has to do with Todd Haley's emphasis on Ben Roethlisberger not holding on to the football. And a lot of that also has to do with the fact that it's an extension of their running game right now. They don't have a running game in Pittsburgh right now. Without Rashard Mendenhall, there really has been no running game. His return was supposed to signal the start of the Steelers actually having a running game. He got injured early in the football game. They had to lean on Isaac Redman, who was having a career day, not on the ground, but just overall. Him as a receiver out of the backfield was killing the Tennessee Titans. But as his role increased, so did his production decrease. And I told you, Isaac Redman is a guy that when asked to just have limited carries, limited touches in a football game can be dangerous. And that's what he was for the first part of this football game. As the game wore on and the Pittsburgh Steelers were asking more of him because of the injury to Mendenhall, you started to see the production come down from Redman. But he was still doing a good job of carrying the load until he took that shot on that knee, had to come out the game and couldn't return. And the Steelers really never really recovered. They had a lot of injuries. They dressed 7 offensive linemen. 2 went down. They only had 5. Another one went down in Ramon Foster, but he had to come back in the game. And so they were struggling with injuries in this football game. And I tell you what, I give the Steelers credit because with all those injuries, all of that aside, they had opportunities to win this game, but they didn't take advantage of them. Again, I just told you Keenan Lewis dropped an interception that the Steelers normally corral, make that play, and go on to win the ball game. That's what I focus on. The good teams make that play. The bad teams, the average teams, they don't make that play. They leave the door open, and a lot of times they go on to lose the football game, as the Steelers did. So I pose the question, are the Steelers an average team now? Are they just a regular team? Are they not one of the better teams in the National Football League anymore? I pose that question to you. Because after losses to the Raiders and the Titans this year, how can you classify them as anything but an average football team? They only have 2 victories. 2 of their losses have come to teams who are sub 500. Hell, the Raiders only have 1 win, and it's from the Steelers. So what do you classify the Steelers as right now? I'm starting to buy more and more into this Steelers jinx. The one that says they don't make the playoffs every 4 years. They didn't make it in 2000. They didn't make it in 2004. They didn't make it in 2008. Now it's 2012. And I'm starting to give more credence to that notion that they don't make the playoffs every 4 years. A lot of times I dismiss stuff like that as hogwash. Get out of my face with that. But it's starting to look like the Steelers are not the same team that they were a year ago, the same team that they were 2 years ago, and a team that's going to threaten to make the playoffs. They got to turn on the switch, and they got to turn it on fast. And they got to realize that Palomalu is not coming back in the next 2 weeks. James Harrison, if he came back, will he remain healthy? Lamar Woodley, he has hamstring issues. He had hamstring issues a year ago. Is this something that's going to linger throughout the season? He may never be 100% for the rest of this season. You look at that offensive line. They're probably going to have to use a patchwork line for the duration of the season. You take a look at their running back situation. Your Achilles, that's something that needs time to heal. Rashad Mendenhall might have fully recovered from an ACL injury. Now he might have another set of issues on his plate. And that ACL injury, Axelrod Landry, that's something that you need time to heal. Possibly surgery. And so don't expect Rashad Mendenhall to be the same back. Don't expect Rashad Mendenhall to possibly even play next week. Those Achilles injuries are nothing to play with. And so Rashad Mendenhall could be in a world of trouble for the rest of this season. And the Steelers could be in a world of trouble for the rest of this season. We don't know. Stay tuned on the Pittsburgh Steelers because their bye week is gone. They got to go the rest of this season without a week off. They already used their bye week up. So now they're in it for the long haul. So we're going to see if they're going to be able to rebound and turn this thing around. Or is this just going to be one of those 8-8, 7-9 seasons for the Steelers where they finally miss the playoffs and are a shell of themselves? We'll see. Meanwhile, the Titans, I want to talk about them for a second because I thought before the season started, and I had said this, and I was adamant about it. If you wanted to win and win now and win this year and possibly make it to the playoffs, your best option was to start Matthew Hasselbeck. I said it, I meant it, and I wasn't going to back down from that. And I thought that's the direction they were going to go in because I didn't feel like Jake Locker was ready to take the reins as the quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. I didn't think he was ready. He showed me nothing in the preseason that said, I am the starter. I'm ready to be the starter moving forward. And so I thought they should have just given it to Matthew Hasselbeck, allowed him to take this team. They need some veteran leadership. In that game, it was obvious. It was apparent that Matthew Hasselbeck's veteran leadership is what put them over the top last night. If I'm the Steelers, I was upset Jake Locker was not able to play last night. I was looking forward to taking advantage of a young second-year quarterback who tends to make mistakes when pressure is applied to him. And I was looking forward to taking advantage of a quarterback that will turn the football over. Instead, you got Matthew Hasselbeck, a veteran quarterback with veteran presence that wasn't going to be rattled by the Steelers' blitz, that wasn't going to be rattled by late game situations. And he excelled. And he gave the Titans an opportunity to win this football game. And so, if you're the Titans, of course, when Jake Locker comes back, you give him back the keys to the car, allow him to drive into a few more trees this season, wreck it a few more times, and allow you to be 6-10, maybe 7-9, maybe 5-11. But the logical thing to do would be to say, hey, sit down, learn a little bit more from Hasselbeck, and let's see if we can make a go of this thing. The AFC is wide open right now. If you're the Tennessee Titans, you should be asking yourself, why not us? Why can't we get hot, win 5 out of 6, get this thing turned around, and be right there in the playoff discussion come January? Why not us? I'll tell you why not you. Because you're going to put Jake Locker back in at quarterback. He's going to come in. He's going to have good games. He's going to have bad games. And you're going to struggle. That's why. You want to have a chance? Let Matthew Hasselbeck, be the quarterback of this team moving forward and allow him to use his veteran presence to bring a level of comfort over this team. I don't think it's going to happen, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Tennessee Titans get it done on Thursday Night Football in a surprise, 26-23 over the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is a back-breaking loss for myself because there's nothing more aggravating than starting off your week with a loss. Nothing more debilitating than that. I already come into the week with a loss, and now there's no margin for error. I don't have a chance to have one of these games that could go either way. I need it to go the way that I picked. I don't have a margin of error that I normally have when I win the Thursday night game. I expect to win just about every Thursday night game. But a few of them this year, and that's the beauty of Thursday night football this year, is that you don't know what you're going to get. Because, again, I already told you, when you get teams on the road, it's tough to win games. And so these road teams are struggling on Thursday night football this year. And that's what happens when you go on the road in the National Football League. Home teams have the advantage because they're home. It's tough to go on the road, raucous crowd, and go and get a W. Steelers found that out. Cardinals found that out. It's just the way it is in the National Football League. And I knew that this was going to be a tough football game for the Steelers, but I thought they were going to be able to pull it out. And so now I have a loss already. I'm sporting an 0-1 record for Week 6 already. And that's tough to swallow because there's a lot of tough games that could go either way. And now I have to be right. If I'm not right, this week could go, in the wrong direction quickly. You lose a game here, a game there, one that you thought was going to go in a certain direction and it doesn't. All of a sudden, you have 4 losses on Sunday in conjunction with the one on Thursday. You got 5 losses already. There's only 14 games. There are 4 teams on byes, so there's not 16 games. It's only 14. You lose 5, you're already under double digits, like I was a week ago. I want 10 wins. I want 10 plus wins. So now I have to be extra special on Sunday. So now, without any further ado, let's get to the Sunday slate of games and see what we can accomplish this week in the lab on the Pick'em Weekly. I need to be special, and I have to turn it up a notch because Thursday night did not go the way that I predicted. So let's start talking about Sunday's games. And we start with the Cowboys traveling out to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. This is a tough matchup right here. This is what I'm talking about. A game that could go either way. You can't afford to be wrong on these ones now. Where there was a margin of error before this Thursday night matchup went awry, now there is not. Now you have to find a way to pick the right team. You have to find a way to be on the right side of these matchups. The Cowboys come into this game off of a bye. I hate picking games when teams come off of a bye because it's just a scary proposition. We saw a week ago what an extra week of preparation can do for you in the Colts defeating the Green Bay Packers. It's always tough when you get a team who had a week of rest and an extra week of preparation for you. It's hard for you to beat them. That aside, though, I don't think this Dallas Cowboys team is very good. I didn't think they were very good coming into the season. I said that they were a 8-8, 7-9, 9-7 at best football team. And I think that's where they're still headed. I haven't changed my stance one way or the other. I don't think they're going to fall off of the cliff just because they got, destroyed on Monday Night Football against the Chicago Bears. That's a good Bears team. They turned it over, and that's what happens when you turn the football over. However, I don't think this Cowboys team is mentally tough enough to go on the road and get it done against a tough Baltimore Ravens team. If this was a home game for the Cowboys coming off this bye against the Ravens, I probably would lean the way of the Cowboys. 2 weeks to prepare at home. Even though the Cowboys don't play that well at home, I still would have been leaning towards the Cowboys. But this is a road test for the Cowboys against a tough Baltimore Ravens team. And no, this isn't the same Ravens team. I told you, I don't think the Ravens are elite on defense anymore. But they're still a solid defensive football team. Don't let their 24 ranked defense fool you. They can still get it done on the defensive side of the football. All right, they're missing Terrell Suggs. That's a big piece. People forget Terrell Suggs is not playing. He's a big part of what they do on defense. He gets pressure on the quarterback. He does a lot of things for that Baltimore Ravens defense that without him there, doesn't get done. And so you want to know why they're 24th ranked right now? That's a big part of why they're not an elite defense right now. It's because they're missing one of their best players on that side of the football. But let's not talk about what's not there. Let's talk about what is there. What is there is an opportunistic defense headed by Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, LaDarius Webb, Kerry Williams. They have guys that can play football on that side of the ball. Let's not even forget about Haloti Ngata, probably the best defensive lineman in all of football. They can get it done on the defensive side of the football. I think they're going to be able to get pressure on Tony Romo. I really am not a big fan of this line. I thought they went out, revamped the line, did Dallas in the offseason. And I don't really think they really upgraded this line. I think they just took a lateral step. And so this line is still porous. They can still be beat. They can still be had. Tony Romo still has to run for his life oftentimes, as he did against the Bears. Forces him into making special plays, and sometimes he makes mistakes, turns the football over. The one thing that the Cowboys can hang their hat on in this football game, if they want a chance to win, will be the running game. The Chiefs a week ago took it to this Baltimore Ravens team up front. And DeMarco Murray, when he gets going, can be a special back in this league. And if the Cowboys can run the football, establish that run, have the Ravens on their heels, then go play action fake off of that run, Tony Romo can be comfortable in the pocket and go through his progressions, find Witten, find Miles Austin, find Dez Bryant. The Cowboys can win this football game. But I see the Ravens being juiced after that subpar showing on the road against the Chiefs, where they barely eked out a 9-6 victory, where they didn't show well on defense, where they weren't able to get it done on offense, weren't able to get into any kind of rhythm. I think they're going to come off of that game and play much better at home against this Cowboys team, who really needs a win, but I don't think they're going to get it. I don't think they're mentally tough enough to go on the road and beat a Ravens team that I think is superior to them. And so I have the Ravens in a close ball game, getting it done against the Cowboys 23-17, taking the Cowboys record down to 2-3, lifting the Ravens record up to 5-1 on the season. This is going to be a tough matchup between two teams that can play defense. And the difference in this game is going to be the offenses, I think. I don't think it's going to come down to one defense or the other defense winning this football game. Whichever one of these teams' offenses gets into a rhythm, doesn't turn the football over, and can make plays when they're there to be made. If you get a shot at a deep ball, whichever team can complete that deep ball and turn that into 7, whether it be that play goes to the 15 and you drive it in on 3 more plays and you get in the end zone, whatever team can find a way to score touchdowns and not kick 3 or 4 or 5 field goals, I think that's going to be the victor. And I think that team is going to be the Ravens. I think the Ravens are going to find a way to get into the end zone a few times, get into the scoring zone a few times, and find ways to score points. Have the Ravens winning this one 23-17 over the Cowboys in a tough ball game, but the Cowboys I just don't think are ready to go on the road and win a game in a tough environment like M&T Bank Stadium I just don't think they're ready to get it done on the road against a good opponent like the Ravens. Moving on, our next game sees the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Cleveland Browns. This is an interesting matchup because these are two teams who are Ohio-based, so it's an intrastate rival. The Browns, having already played the Bengals once this season, will have wrapped up their divisional matchups for the season this early in the season. We're talking week 6, and these teams have already played each other twice after this game has been completed. So the Browns have already dropped one to Cincinnati in Cincinnati, but they were able to move the ball, score points against that Cincinnati Bengals team. They just weren't able to stop the Bengals from scoring. And so, looking at this game, I think the Browns, this is a surprise to many, I think the Browns are due for a victory here. They're playing solid football. I think the Cincinnati Bengals are not playing their best football right now. They dropped a game at home that they should have won to the Dolphins. The Browns, meanwhile, jumped on top of the New York Giants a week ago, weren't able to sustain the tempo and pace that they had started the game out, scoring 14 points in the first 6 minutes of the game. They weren't able to sustain that. The Giants were able to start scoring, and they never really stopped. The Browns, however, did. And so they lost that game to the Giants 41-27. I think the Browns, though, are ready to win a football game. I told you when they do win a game, it's going to be at home. They are at home. When they do win a game, it's going to be against an opponent that they know. They know the Cincinnati Bengals, having already played them once this season, having this be family business. They know them intimately. The Browns have a legitimate shot of winning this football game, and I think that they will. This is the week that the Browns have a chance to do all the things that they need to do to get a win. They can run the football with Trent Richardson, as they did the first time when these two teams met about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Brandon Weeden can throw the football, as he did the first time these two teams met. And they can score points on these Cincinnati Bengals, as they did the first time these two teams met. Now, the Bengals scored points on the Browns when these teams met the last time, but they were at home. It was a different circumstance, and the Browns weren't along as far as they are now in their maturation process. That was Trent Richardson's, I want to say it was his first, maybe second game of his NFL career. Brandon Weeden was still only in his second or third game in his career. And so now they've got a few games under their belt. These guys know what each other can do. And I think they're a lot more comfortable than they were the first time they met. And so I think the Cleveland Browns will get their first victory of the season. Brandon Weeden will get his first NFL win as they are able to defeat their division rivals and get some family business accomplished at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Browns will win this game 20-17 over their intrastate rival Cincinnati Bengals. And so this will take the Browns to a 1-5 mark on the season, notching their first victory. And now the Bengals are starting to come back down to earth, and this will take their record to 3-3 on the season. So the Dolphins are feeling really good about themselves right now. Thus, the Dolphins feel like they should win this football game. But across the field from them are the St. Louis Rams, who are feeling equally as good about themselves, coming off of the Thursday night destruction of the Arizona Cardinals, the previously undefeated Arizona Cardinals a week ago. These St. Louis Rams feel good about themselves. They're up over 500 again for the first time since 2006. And they mean business on the defensive end. These guys get after the quarterback, and in a strange twist of fate, in an NFC West division that has suddenly turned defensive-minded, this St. Louis Rams team fits right in. They get after the quarterback. They stop you from running the football, or at least they attempt to. They did it a week ago against the Arizona Cardinals, but the Cardinals are not a good running football team. Nonetheless, they try to make you abandon the run, and then once you have to pass, they come after your quarterback. And this is an aggressive defense. Jeff Fisher coaches aggressive teams. period. That's always been his style. That's always going to continue to be his style. And so they're going to be aggressive. They're going to do things after the whistle, maybe some things not to your liking, but that's going to be who the St. Louis Rams are. Under Jeff Fisher, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get an aggressive team that's going to play until the whistle and then sometimes after the whistle, but they're going to get after you defensively. And the Dolphins have to be ready for this challenge. They've been playing really good on the offensive end. Tannehill has not been making critical mistakes as of late. He's been finding Brian Hartline, Devon Best, and those guys on the offensive end through the passing game. And Reggie Bush has done a good job of running the football. Daniel Thomas has another concussion, probably won't have his services in this game. So the Dolphins will need to look to someone else to spell Reggie Bush when he comes out of the ball game. Maybe Lamar Miller will be able to come in and establish himself as someone that the Dolphins can rely on in the running game. We'll see. Reggie Bush has been the primary back for them and has done a great job up until this point. The Rams are going to have to slow Reggie Bush down in that rushing attack for the Dolphins. If they can't do that, they're going to be in for a long day. The Dolphins have done a good job of running the football this year, and they've passed off of it and passed well. Tannehill has looked solid in his first 5 games of his career. And yeah, the numbers don't state that he's been as careful with the football as he could have been or should have been. But he's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes, but he's looked good of late. And so this Rams team is going to have to get after him, pressure him, force him into mistakes. If they can't do that, the Dolphins are going to win this football game because the Dolphins play very good defense. They're solid in their principles, stopping the run. They get after quarterbacks themselves, and they're not afraid to make plays in the secondary. I love Sean Smith as a corner. I think that his size, his combination of size and speed and physicality is rare in the National Football League from the corner position. And so I think he is a jewel out there at the corner position. I like what the Dolphins are putting on the field defensively. I like the way that this football team is playing. I love the way that their head coach, Joe Philbin, has them playing football. And I expect the Miami Dolphins at home to secure their second consecutive victory of the season, even in their record at 3-3, dropping the Rams down to 3-3 as well on the season. I expect the Dolphins to be able to get it done 20-17 in a close ball game when it sees them kicking a late field goal and edging out the St. Louis Rams at home. This next game up on the Sunday slate of games is one that I really don't want to make this pick. I don't want to make this pick. I don't have a choice. This is another one of those, evenly matched games where it's leaning one way or the other. It could go either way. And it doesn't have to be this way, but I know the Jets are going to stick with Mark Sanchez, and so I think this game is going to be a lot closer than it has to be. And I'm talking about the game that matches the Indianapolis Colts, who travel to New Jersey to take on the New York Jets in a football game that the Colts have every opportunity to win. I think the Colts, if they come in, play their brand of football, run the football, I think they cannot do what they did last week, which is have Andrew Luck chucking it up 40, 50 times and think they're going to win. That is not the recipe for success for this Colts team. They need to run the football. No Donald Brown this week. So that makes that task a bit harder. They're going to have to rely on rookie Vic Ballard to tote the rock. I don't know if the Colts feel comfortable relying on him to run the football. So they might ask Andrew Luck to throw it 45 times this week. Who knows? All I know is that the Jets come into this game and they don't know what they want to do. You got too many guys speaking out about the quarterback situation. Woody Johnson, the owner of the Jets, is talking about it. Tannenbaum, the GM, is talking about it. All these guys need to shut up, move out of the way, let Rex Ryan coach this football team. Whatever Rex Ryan wants to do, that's what he needs to be allowed to do. They're coming out and giving Mark Sanchez a vote of confidence. That's not their place to do that. If Rex Ryan wants to sit him down and put Tim Tebow in the game, then he needs to do that. And don't have the pressure of the owner and the GM telling him that he needs to play Mark Sanchez. I'm at the point now where I'm done with Mark Sanchez. I think he is what he is at this point. He's not going to get any better. The light bulb isn't just going to magically turn on. He's an average quarterback who makes mistakes and who's not going to be good enough to get his team where they want to go. Because in the end, he's going to make the critical mistake. He's error prone. That's what he does. He makes mistakes. And the Jets need to realize that. I think their best option is playing Tim Tebow. Maybe in this game, they'll realize it, put Tim Tebow in, and they'll win this game. That's my hope. Maybe they don't even need Tim Tebow to win this game. Maybe Mark Sanchez does what he does, which is every 3 or 4 games, plays a pretty solid game, doesn't throw in any interceptions, leads his team to a victory, and for a week or two quiets down, the quarterback speculation in New York, only to throw up all over himself the next 3 weeks. So he's due for one of those good games where he throws 2 touchdowns, doesn't throw any interceptions, throws for about 274 yards. In a Jet victory, everybody says, hey, this is the guy that we went and traded for, and he can get it done. And then the next 3 weeks, he'll proceed to throw 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions over a 3-game span, throw up all over himself. Jets go 1-2 over that span, and they look like a team who is going south. Let's just hope that some point in this game, Rex Ryan decides to pull the plug on Mark Sanchez. They go to Tebow. It's not too late in the ball game. Tebow's able to bring them back. They win this game. And Tebow's the quarterback moving forward because I think he is what this Jets team needs. On the other side, the Colts are playing inspired football for their head coach, Chuck Pagano, who's out for the rest of the season, battling leukemia, a very treatable form of leukemia. So let's hope that he's able to go through his tests and go through the procedures that need to be done to help him be healthy and leukemia-free and get back to the sidelines potentially next season. We're all praying for him and his family, and let's hope that Chuck Pagano can get through his bout with leukemia. His team is playing inspired football for him. They were able to come back down 18 a week ago against the Packers at home and get the victory in a very, very emotional win for those Colts. Now they have to go on the road and take that same intensity, that same emotion, and try to get a win against a team like the Jets who's struggling right now. The Colts can win this football game. If they come in to this game, don't turn it over. Reggie Wayne is out of his mind again. Andrew Luck is finding Reggie Wayne again. And they're able to have some semblance of run game because, again, no Donald Brown in this game. He's injured. If they can run the football and Andrew Luck is comfortable back there, because the Jets don't get pressure on the quarterback. So he should be able to have time to survey the field, find the open receiver. If he's making good throws and they're moving the ball down the field and they're scoring points, that's the most important thing. If they're scoring points, because I think they're going to be able to drive this football down the field. But if the Jets stiffen in the red zone and they have to kick field goals, they're going to lose this game. If they're able to do what they did a week ago, which was when they get in the red zone, score touchdowns, they're going to beat the Jets. But again, I don't trust the Colts. Don't think they're at the stage right now where they're ready to go on the road and beat teams. They've won 2 games this season, both at home, have not won on the road yet, and I don't see them being a team that's ready to win on the road yet. So, reluctantly, I'm taking the Jets in this one, 23-20 over the Indianapolis Colts, to take the Jets record to 3-3 on the season, drop the Colts to 2-4 on the season, or 2-3, excuse me, on the season. And I hate doing this. I really wish I didn't have to pick this game because this is one of those games that I could honestly see at 4:15 looking down at the score and looking at my sheet and saying, wow, that one hurt. Because I don't trust the Jets. I don't trust the Colts. But when I don't trust either one of the teams playing, I go with the home team. And so that's just rule of thumb for me. I'm going with the Jets. But I really don't think the Jets, because Mark Sanchez is starting. I don't trust Mark Sanchez at all. So I'm going with the Jets reluctantly, 20-17 in this football game. Next up is my sole survivor of the week. The Atlanta Falcons are home against the Oakland Raiders, who are coming off a bye, and it doesn't matter. The Raiders aren't a good football team. The Falcons are. The Raiders can't stop the pass. The Falcons can pass the football. The Raiders like to run the football. but they're not good at running the football. So in this game, I'm going to keep this short and brief because I don't think there's a lot to talk about here. The Falcons are a 5-0 football team. The Raiders are a 1-3 football team. The Falcons are the superior team. The Raiders are a team trying to find themselves, trying to find an identity. They want to run the football, but they haven't been good at running the football. They want to play defense, but they can't stop the pass, nor the run. So the Raiders are a team trying to search for an identity, trying to find themselves under head coach Dennis Allen in his first season. Meanwhile, the Falcons are an established football team looking to get back to the postseason and finally win a football game. The Falcons are going to establish themselves early on in this game as a dominant team. They're going to pass the football on that porous Raiders secondary, go up and down the field on the Raiders, score points on the Raiders, win the football game against the Raiders. Falcons 34, Raiders 16. Raiders go to 1-4, Falcons go to 6-0. End of the discussion. Lions, coming off of a bye, travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. This is a very, very intriguing matchup because the Lions, they don't have any margin for error. They don't have any room to come off of this bye and lose. They need a win. They don't win this game, I'm declaring their season dead. I'm declaring any playoff hopes dead. You don't win this game, and this is a tough one. This isn't like you're at home against the Chiefs. You're going on the road to play against a Philadelphia Eagles team who dropped a heartbreaker a week ago to the Steelers on a last-second field goal by Sean Sweezum, a team that can't seem to get out of their own way, who likes to turn the football over, i.e. Michael Vick, who hasn't thrown an interception in the last 2 or 3 ball games, but is fumbling now all of a sudden. And so, if you're the Lions, this isn't an easy ball game by any stretch of the imagination. However, it's one that you have to have if you want your season to have any hope of going to the postseason. And with that being said, I still don't think you're going to get this game. I don't trust you anymore because you came into this season, in my book, skating on thin ice. Even though you made it to the postseason, you played no defense for the most part last year. You were an offensive-laden team who relied heavily on the passing game. And if that were to ever calm down, as it has this year, you were going to struggle. And that's exactly what has happened this year. And that's, to you, that was your worst case scenario. Not having points being scored through the passing game. The minute that you started kicking field goals was the minute that you were going to start losing ball games. And that's exactly what has happened to you this season. Now, you've had time to go back to the drawing board, figure out what was wrong, and see if you can get this thing corrected. But coming off your bye on the road against a Philadelphia Eagles team who is just as hungry for a win as you are, is it the recipe for success that you were looking for coming off of a bye? You would much rather have came off this bye, been at home, and had the Chiefs showing up to play you at your facility. Even if you had to go on the road, you would much rather have seen a team like maybe the Raiders. Maybe that would have allowed you to get on track. However, you're going to Philadelphia against a team that needs a win just as bad as you do. And I don't see you being able to go up and down the field and score points on this Philadelphia Eagles defense. The Eagles play defense. They get pressure on the quarterback. They force turnovers. They do all the things it takes to win on the defensive side of football, but their offense is turning the ball over. And so that stopped them from probably being 5-0. It stopped them from being 4-1. And so they're 3-2. But the Lions aren't going to stop them on offense as the Steelers were able to do a week ago. That's not the Lions' forte. That's not their MO. They're an offensive football team that wants to outscore their opponent. Well, they're not doing that either this year. They lost to the Tennessee Titans in a shootout, 44-41. So in this game, I see the Lions coming out, and they need to establish Calvin Johnson. They need to try to run the football with Mikel LaShaw, and they need to get the ball to Calvin Johnson. Megatron is the wild card in every single game they play. If they can't get the ball to him consistently, they're not going to beat many teams because that's the one advantage they have over every single football team they play. You can't guard Calvin Johnson one-on-one. Nobody can. And if you can't get him the football, if you can't get him the football in the red zone, if you can't exploit that mismatch that Calvin Johnson presents week in and week out, you're not going to win football games. And I think the Eagles are going to win this game because they're the better team. They can run the football with LaShawn McCoy. If the Eagles don't go back to this West Coast, I have to throw the ball 37 times mentality and keep the ball away from LaShawn McCoy, they're going to win this football game because I think they can run the ball on this Lions defense, control the tempo and pace of this game. Vic can be comfortable in the pocket because they're going to have to respect play action fake. He's going to be able to push the ball down the field, work the middle with Brent Selleck, go up top to Deshaun Jackson and Jeremy Maclin. And I think that's going to prove to be the difference in this game. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to outscore the Detroit Lions, who have had a tough time scoring points this season, something they didn't struggle with a year ago. And despite coming off a bye and having 2 weeks to prepare for the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't think they're going to be able to do enough on the road against a team that is who is begging for a victory. And I just don't think they're going to be able to get it done. Lions 20, Eagles 27. Lions drop to 1-4 on the season. Eagles go to 4-2 on the season.